Okay, so f of x equals 3x squared plus 4, and we're asked to find the inverse function. So the first thing we do is we change f of x to be y, okay, because y is f of x, and we're going to then rearrange this so we get x equals. So the first thing we'll do, of course, we'll take that 4 over, so it becomes minus 4 when you take it over, and then we'll take the 3 down and divide, okay, and we get x squared on its own once we take the 3 over. Now, of course, when we've got x squared, we've got to get x, so we've got to take the square over and we square root. So we've got to square root the whole thing, but we must remember when we square root, there are two options, aren't there? There's a plus option and there's a negative option, okay? Because it could be either or as a result there. Now, we've got to decide which one to take. But if you look at the domain here, it's quite clear, isn't it? The domain here has x being positive. So we say, look, since the domain there, x is positive, x is greater than or equal to 0, we'll take the positive root. Okay, so therefore then, when we do our f inverse, f to the minus 1 of x, okay, it'll be obviously in terms of x, but we'll take the positive root. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the negative, and we have that there. Okay. So it then says state the range and domain of f to minus 1. Okay, now of course for that we need to focus on what f is to start with, yeah? So if you think about f of x, right, equals 3x squared plus 4, okay, well its domain is given as, we saw earlier, x is greater than 0 or equal to, so its domain will be 0, square bracket to include it, all the way up to infinity. So to work out the range, obviously you can sub these values in here. Okay, so if I sub 0 in, f of 0 will be 3 times 0 squared plus 4, which is equal to 4. And then of course if I put infinity in, now you can't put infinity into a formula and expect an answer out, because infinity is a sort of concept of never ending. But infinity, if you think about it, when we put that in, we'll go to 3 times infinity squared plus 4. Well, that's just going to be infinity, isn't it? Okay, because we're squaring infinity there. So the range then, as a result, will be 4, the lower limit, and we'll include 4 because 0, the value is included, all the way up to infinity. So that's for f, of course. Then for the inverse, f to the minus 1 of x, the domain then will be the range of f, okay, and the range will be the domain of f. Okay, so they just switch round, yeah? So we've got 4 infinity there, 0 infinity there. And then in part B, then we're asked to sketch, okay? So, do you know what? The easy one to sketch it to start with is f of x, because if you think about f of x, it's just 3x squared plus 4, yeah? Now you know x squared is just a smiley face, okay? 3x squared will be it's still a smiley face, but obviously it'll be stretched, it'll be narrower, closer to the y-axis when you draw it, and plus 4 means it gets shifted up 4, it's just going to look something like that, yeah? Now to then do the inverse, you've got to reflect, if you remember, in the line y equals x. Okay, so there's my line y equals x, and I'm going to reflect it. So when I reflect it, you just need to realize, well, if it cuts 4 there on the y-axis, it's going to cut 4 here on the x-axis. Okay, and then it's going to sort of slightly closer to the mirror, then drift off, obviously being quite close to the x-axis as it's close to the y-axis there. And we're done. There's my f inverse x, okay, which of course is equal to what I had earlier, and of course there's my f of x here.